Alrighty, everyone. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from in the world. It is a pleasure to have you here with us. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you all to our Zoom LTI Roadmap for the Future webinar. Welcome. So the goal of today's webinar is not only to show you the future of COSO LTIs with Zoom and demo our current offerings, but also to ensure you're enabled for the future. So that means throughout this call, we'll have a poll. We'll ask you to write down your questions so that we can answer them at the end and make sure that all of your challenges are addressed. So here we have a quick overview of what you can expect from today's call. We might not take up the full hour, but we've got some really great, exciting content to share with you all. So I'm looking forward to sharing it. Here is a quick list of all of the apps that we currently have listed in the Zoom Marketplace. So they are listed as LTI, so you can search Canvas LTI, Moodle LTI, etc., and find all of our LMS integrations in the Zoom Marketplace. We've got a quick poll question for you all, so feel free to answer the next couple of minutes and let us know which LMS system you are currently using. Okay. It looks like the majority of people are using Canvas, so that is awesome. Thank you for your feedback. And I'd like to take a quick second to introduce you all to our speakers that we have for you today. Mike Colleen is the brains behind COSO's custom applications. He's been in the industry for several years, and he's spent time working with notable companies such as Boeing, perfecting his craft. So thank you, Mike, for taking the time to be with us today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
And we also have AJ for you guys. Oops, excuse me. AJ Gorton is our commercial sales manager here at COSO. And while he's only been in the industry for 3 short years, his dedication to the customer and understanding the product has set him apart. AJ has worked to become an e-learning expert, which you all will get to see today in AJ's live demo. So without further ado, I'd like to pass things over to AJ to get the ball rolling. AJ, welcome.
Perfect. Thank you, Kaylin, and thank you everybody for joining here again. We appreciate everybody's time and look forward to hopefully providing you some good information here. Before I jump in, wanted to just kind of confirm that I will be doing the demo today in Canvas, which is wonderful because it sounds like a lot of folks here today utilize Canvas. But for those that don't, the LTI integration looks exactly the same in Moodle or Sakai or Schoology or any of the other ones. It really just it all functions the same functionality, and definitely will still provide kind of that same level of integration that you're looking for. So without further ado, I'm going to kick over and share my screen and walk through a demo. We'll go ahead and have some, plenty of time for questions and answers, as Kaylin had mentioned. So, no need to jump in with those. So, but we'll make sure to get everything answered by the end. So with that, I hope you all can see my screen here with my Canvas instance. This is just our demo Canvas instance here. We do have, several courses, and specifically, I'll jump into this eSync 101. Like all other LTI applications, the Zoom LTI is available here on the side panel, and it's of course configurable to say whatever you want. We have it here as our Zoom production account, but if you want to call it live lessons or anything else along those lines, it's of course completely configurable. So that's something that's entirely up to everybody's individual use cases. Once we launch the Zoom LTI, the basic idea with integrations is trying to get all of your information in one place, so that folks aren't having to use both Canvas or whatever LMS you're using, as well as Zoom, and really having to kind of utilize two separate platforms. So in using this integration, from a teacher's perspective, you're able to schedule all of your meetings here. From a student's perspective, they're able to just stay within Canvas to join the meetings. All the reporting can live here, and we'll show a little bit more about that. But that's really the basic idea behind these integrations, and something that really kind of assists in saving a lot of time and frustration in kind of pulling together two platforms. So to start with, I'm going to walk through the process from the teacher's perspective of scheduling a course meeting. It's actually fairly simple, and a lot of this should look pretty familiar, but just so everybody can see. So we have to title the course here, which we'll just call this Canvas 101. You're able to put in a description just like you would with your normal Zoom settings. You can, of course, also put in, when the course meets and the duration, although we did come up with a little bit more clever way to do this. But really, all of the classic Zoom settings that you are accustomed to seeing are all going to be right here. That's the basic idea. So your meeting options, enabling host audio, requiring a password, things of that nature, all should be, match and feature parity. The one thing that I'll highlight here, which is actually quite a cool feature in my opinion, is this enable class roster security. So this is not something that's native to Zoom. This is something that we were able to develop with the basic idea of trying to lock down the course to just those that are within the course in Canvas, so that nobody else outside of your Canvas course is joining your sessions. We really did feel the need to add this potential functionality just because, there is kind of a little bit of a security loophole at times with Zoom, and just being able to do that kind of one click, pass along a link to somebody else, which has the password embedded to an extent into it to be able to join a session. So especially, oftentimes in the K-12 space, you have, kids passing along the links to the sessions to their friends, things of that nature. And this was just kind of there to, make sure that we close up that security loophole. So with this on, only folks that are within the Canvas roster will be able to join the Zoom session. If I were to say, pass the link to the Zoom meeting to somebody else, it would just continue to spin as people are joining, and would never actually let them into the Zoom session. So that's the idea behind that. Alternatively, we of course do still see the need to be able to add a guest at times. If you have the principal of your school, or maybe a parent that wants to be able to come in and view a session or something along those lines, but you don't want to have to add them to the Canvas roster, you can still use this alternative host functionality down here. So this is where you add somebody to a class as kind of that add guest piece. So kind of the nice mix of both worlds of being able to lock it down from a security perspective, but also being able to add folks where appropriate. So that's the first part of the setup here. And actually at this point, when we just name our course and put in the settings that we want to do, we could click save, and it would be created. So it's a very quick process. But just to kind of show all of it, I'm going to click over to manage sessions. So the idea with managed sessions is that we want to be able to kind of map out the course for people. So if this is going to be a, let's just say this a noon course starting on next Monday the 12th, and we'll just say that it's going to meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it's going to be for 4 weeks. This will help us map out the course so that students can see exactly when the course is meeting. It will also kind of, utilize the Zoom classroom in a way that kind of helps us put all the recording and reportings in one place. So as you can see here, here's the course that we just created. You can see all the start times and end times and durations and things of that nature. One key point that I'll point out is you'll see that we're using the one Zoom ID for all 8 sessions here. And as I kind of mentioned a minute ago, the reason why we're doing that is so that, we can get reporting for the entire course as a whole. So over all 8 sessions, rather than having to go ahead and grab reporting for each individual Zoom meeting, right? So if we had 8 Zoom meetings that met 8 different times, we'd have to click into each one to be able to see who all attended and be able to kind of grab that reporting data from there. This way, you can kind of consolidate it all in one place. Again, same with the recording piece. All the recordings will be in one place rather than a student having to say, okay, what session number was it that we, discussed, multiplication tables or whatever it might be, just kind of consolidating all that information. I, of course, do not have any reports or recordings to share in the course that we just created, but to highlight those, I think I have some here in a previous demonstration that I did. So If you look at the reporting, you can see, so for this course, it started on October 6th and also ended, of course, on October 6th. It was 2 minutes long, so a little bit on the shorter side, but you can kind of see that from a little bit more of a larger perspective. And then we also get to see who all attended. So these were the folks that attended, and you can see how long each one of them were in the course. So again, really important to get that reporting and being able just to kind of get both a view of, the course itself, how long it lasted, but also, who all attended and how long each person attended. Because, you don't necessarily want to give somebody credit for attending if they attend for 4 minutes and leave. If it's a 60-minute course, you can pretty easily see that. These reports are exportable to PDF or to Excel, so pretty easy to pass along to, a potential, a principal or something along those lines, if required. And then the last thing that I'll mention here with this is that we can also go back in and once we create the course, here's the 8 different course meetings that we have. We've already got it all set up, but then maybe class number 4 lands on kind of a holiday or something along those lines. So it's easy to go back. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just go back and delete a course. You can kind of rearrange things, add new sessions to the course if you wanted to put in like another, hey, we need to all meet together this upcoming Friday. Really a lot of flexibility with these sessions to make sure that it's, workable for everybody's, unique use cases and needs. And then, I'll jump into office hours here in a minute because that's another piece of functionality that we added. But before I do, I guess, I was going to stop and take a pause for questions because I think I saw a couple pop in, but maybe we should actually just take those at the end and kind of put those all together to make sure that we get all those answered appropriately. So I'll jump to office hours. So the idea behind office hours is, of course, another use case for being able to meet with students, usually more teachers, one-on-one sessions. We really wanted to take kind of a little bit more of a calendaring approach to it to kind of try to streamline that process. So, even in the brick and mortar setting, if you have office hours from, let's just say, noon to 2 p.m., for example, the likelihood is that most of the students are going to show up at noon, and the 7th or 8th person that shows up is going to have to wait for potentially an hour or longer to be able to see their teacher. Additionally, you also have times where teachers have office hours from noon to 2 p.m. and nobody shows up at all. So the teacher kind of wasted a little bit of time, potentially doing that. So the idea with the calendaring approach is, for the entire course that you have or however long you want it to be, you can set up your office hours. So we'll have these be from 10 to noon. You can set up either 15 or 30-minute time slot durations. Of course, you put your date range in there. So if you only wanted to say have your office hours be for the first half of the course, and then you wanted to wait and see, what people are showing up and what the volume might be or whatever that might be, you can just generate those for now. So we can see that, and I apologize, I have a few other office hours in here, but we can see the time slots that we just created. Which are right here. So the 10 to noon on Mondays and Wednesdays, and you can see the available time slots. So each, students can come over here to this calendar, see which time slots are available and book them. I'm logged in as a teacher, so unfortunately it's not going to let me click on this, but if I'm logged in as a student, you could click on, this particular spot. Let's say you wanted the 10:15, and a little text box will pop up where the student can actually put in their question ahead of time. And then as soon as they hit submit, it sends off an email to the teacher and to the student, letting them know that that time slot has been booked for them. And this will turn red and say unavailable so that nobody else can book it. So it really kind of books that time slot to, make sure that, everybody, shows up and is able to get served in the appropriate order. The reason why we put in that little text box, because I know that, it's not necessarily for students to, or teachers to be able to research a question or something like that. I know that that's probably a pretty small small use case, but the idea behind the text box is if you do have 8 students showing up for office hours and 7 of the 8 have the same exact question, potentially it could have been something that was missed in the lecture, or if it was something that was a little bit different in the textbook, which often is the case where everybody has the same question. The teacher can kind of see that ahead of time, and rather than explain it 7 times, maybe shoot a private email to all 7 students saying, hey, everybody show up at 10:15. We're gonna talk about this, or we're gonna push that to that subject to the next lecture. Really just trying to, again, save as much time and bandwidth for teachers and students, and make sure that we're trying to do everything we can to kind of streamline that learning process. The last, moving on, the last kind of use case we have here is study groups. So study groups is really just giving the ability for students to have access to the class roster to be able to meet on their own. It is completely configurable, so it's something that you can turn off if you don't want students to meet on their own. I know a lot of times in the K-12 use case, it's a little bit dicey to have students running their own meetings, things of that nature. So again, something that can be turned off, but just gives you the ability to say, okay, here's the Canvas class roster. I'm going to invite this person to a meeting to be able to meet with me outside of the course and be able to have those sessions. So certainly, again, something that's configurable, but a nice way to be able to allow students to be able to meet outside of class, especially during the time of coronavirus, when it's not recommended for students to meet in person outside of class. So those are the kind of the 3 main use cases to our Canvas LTI integration, and really our LMS integration as a whole. Hopefully it kind of meets everybody's needs and things of that nature. I think at this point it would make sense to pause for any questions, and I think I may have got some in the chat that I can look up here. I just want to do that.
Hey, Jim, so, screen share for a minute as we field some of these questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I will turn the floor over to you.
But we can go through the list of questions together if you wish.
Sure.
If you want to start, I'm just taking some notes as I go along here.
Okay, wonderful. I think I just stopped sharing, so you can take it away.
Okay, so a couple of quick things. Mike Colleen, Chief Architect, is we certainly have built out our base product. Is exactly what AJ showed across the different elements there. So it's basically broken up into sort of 5 major categories. So meetings, office hours, recordings, office hours scheduling, and security. So those are the key things that we added to the overall product, and study groups as well. But the concepts of what we're including in the next sprint is going to be deeper integration with the calendar in Canvas. So that has been a very highly requested feature, and we're very interested in your feedback and getting a chance to speak to you more directly as it relates to any kind of feature requests that you might have. We can try to organize this, as best we can through either the Q&A or the chat. Chat probably being, I don't know, either way, either Q&A. We're monitoring both chat and Q&A. But Vegan asked if they could, if we could have the office hours notify via email during the office hours, and that is a great suggestion, and we are happy to consider that as a feature request in our next major release. Emily asked for, can we do 5 to 10 minute slots? Currently, we're doing 15-minute slots, and that's something that if we're doing 5 to 10 minute slots, it might get a little bit interesting from the UI point of view, but I have some ideas of how to potentially solve for that, where maybe instead of picking exactly open slots, that you're actually going in and picking the exact time, and then it only displays what is being scheduled versus what is available. So that is a great suggestion, Emily. I'm going to talk to our UI UX team on that particular feature and see what we can do there. We may include that in a 1.6. I'm not sure I'd do that in the next release yet, but that's something that we can consider there. So let's keep going through the list. Jonathan's question was already answered. The report function picks up the data straight from Zoom. That's correct. We're using the Zoom APIs. So the reporting data is not something that is from our system. It comes directly from Zoom and the data there. So that
Hey, Mike,
is,
there's one, sorry, there's one question from Michael Lockshear at the top there. Do you see before Emily's comments?
okay, sure. No problem. That was just scrolled up there. I didn't see that. Thank you. Okay, so will all the class participants be added to the organization's Zoom account like the actual Zoom dashboard? Let me make sure I understand that, Michael. Be added to the organizational Zoom account. They should be part of the Zoom organization. That's correct. Especially if you're enabling class security. That is what we're doing there. If there's some other clarification, please put it in the chat window, Michael, as to what you're asking there, if I didn't answer that question. I see. Without integration, we have learners not associated with our Zoom account. So you're talking about purely guests, is that right? Okay, so there are students that use Zoom via guest. Are you still wanting to use classroom security? Like, for example, the whole intent of what we were trying to accomplish with the meeting security was that if you were in the class roster in Canvas, we're synchronizing that class roster to the registration for a meeting so that only registered users. So if you're using the guest feature, you'd have to not use the class registration security feature for guests. So you still want to enable guests to be able to attend, and you want to just basically put in an email. Is that correct? Okay. So let me research that and get back to you if there's any issues associated with that. So the basic idea is from a meeting, you want to be able to add guests. And I believe we'd have to do minus the registration security to support that, or at least come up with some form of workaround around that. So I will get back to you on that and let you know. And great, thank you, Michael. Yeah, definitely. If there's if I have questions, I'll be happy to contact you via email and discuss other ideas. Okay, cool. So let's keep moving here. Got a very active audience, so thank you very much for all the questions here. So let's keep moving here. All right, I see that that was answered. Okay, so we had an anonymous attendee asked if it was possible to hide the Created by COSO Cloud logo at the bottom of the Canvas page. I have that here. So that is our little branding thing concept here. Not that it matters who asked the question. I know that it's an anonymous user. It's a great suggestion. So we're not like, I don't know, deeply wedded to our brand where we feel like we have to show our branding there. So if you, there is an admin that you can configure from the configuration panel. And so I don't mind us adding a feature where you could turn off the footer. So I believe for the anonymous user, if you want to be unanonymous in this reply in chat, would that be an acceptable outcome? Okay, so let's keep moving here. Let's see if I answered, we've got 14 open questions. So answered Emily's question, so complete. Let's see, let's just do complete. And then Jonathan asked, can all the users see study groups or only the students assigned to those groups? Only the students assigned to those groups can see those groups, that's correct. So when we originally, there was two intents for study groups. So the study group feature was originally developed so that we could do, this is again pre-coronavirus, was for Yale, and there was also a University of Arizona MBA school example that they had. So study groups were designed to behave in one of two ways. Either you're a student who wants to form their own study group and invite other students to the study group. So pre-corona, that was basically like the Starbucks example. You want to have a study group at Starbucks, and you'd rather meet virtually, or at Yale, you know, people had crazy schedules and snow and whatever, and they wanted to form their own virtual study group. So that was the intent, where it was student-based, where they're inviting other people from the class to join their virtual study group. The other example for study groups was the idea to have where the instructor could form the study groups. So if you had 4 study groups and you had 4 students and you had a case study and you want to throw a case study to the 4 different study groups, that was the intent behind that. So it's the instructor creating the study groups and then getting, you know, organizing them to work together on some particular topic was the other concept there. So I believe, Jonathan, that answered your question. But the students can invite those students to see their study groups, and if they've been invited, they should be able to see that. All right, so let's keep moving. When in the course, the nav setting for the student Zoom is hidden, it does not show up for the teachers with a hidden icon the way the other Canvas tools do. Can the XML be amended to have it behave like the other course tools? AJ, can you share your screen, please?
Yep, absolutely. 1 second.
Stop sharing. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Have it up here.
Okay, and then on the Zoom side on the left, Taya is asking the question.
Can we make it not visible to students like these other modules are?
Yeah, let me make sure I understand that. I'm going to reread this one more time. I just want to have the visual up here. So when in the course, the nav setting for the students, Zoom is hidden. Does not show up for the teachers when the hidden icon the way other Canvas in the XML. Taya, I'm going to have to review that one, but that's a great question. So I'm happy to research that for you and get back to you on that. Okay. Do you have a way of automatically move or download recordings? We have very little storage on our account. So Joseph, great question. So AJ, can you go in the recording section, please?
Yep, of course.
Thank you, Michael, for joining us. And the question is, if you've got the Zoom recordings on Zoom cloud storage, can you move those recordings to an alternate storage is the question. I believe you're asking, Joseph, correct? The download of recordings, so you're saying that you want to download them and then have them deleted from your Zoom account? Or you want them automatically moved to an alternate storage? So the alternate storage, like what, Google Drive or Amazon Cloud Storage or something along those lines? Auto move to Google Drive. Okay, that's a great feature enhancement. So for recordings, we have done something similar like that in the past, but the idea would be to have some form of scheduler that would move the recordings off of Zoom and into Google Drive. Is that correct? I'm sure there'd have to be some parameters around that to, okay, so there's two ways you can go on that. That can either be a scheduler that you write that has scheduler settings. So if the recordings are X number of days old or X number of storage amount in your recordings, they get moved to Google Drive. They would still need to be linked to Google Drive. So if the students are trying to find the recordings, the link should still work regardless of whether it's on Zoom Cloud Storage on Google Drive, correct? Okay, I may meet with you offline and discuss that in more detail. So let me put your name on this one, if you don't mind. So Joseph, great question, by the way. Thank you, Joseph. My little tool tips here. It's interfering with my typing here. So let's do Joseph. That's this question. Anita. Okay, and this is for Google Cloud Storage, or Google Drive. Yeah, so anyway, we'll get into that offline, but the idea is either a scheduler or a manual approach where you're doing it, where you're clicking a button and it moves over to Google Drive. So your teachers could do it manually or some form of scheduler. So we'll be happy to discuss that offline. So let's keep going through Q&A. Great question, Jonathan. Can the professor choose which Zoom recordings are available to the students like a publishing feature? That is a great question. So recordings, so visibility, instructor, I want to say instructor-led, but I'm going to. Instructor-led visibility of recordings is what you're asking. Where basically you can turn off or on based on that. So we'll give Jonathan full credit for that one. And we don't have a problem with that. We actually had that on a previous LTI that we did. So you can basically publish. So if the recordings, so really the use case is that maybe you want to go in and edit the recordings or they're raw. And you've got whatever, some preamble in the beginning or end that you want to edit first before they're live. Or maybe you made a mistake with what you said in the lecture and you want to repair that before it goes live to the student. Something along those lines, correct? Okay, so just, maybe, okay, so there's a recordings that maybe you may or may not want to show for whatever reason is the bottom line. Okay, clear, yep, noted, that's doable. So great suggestion, thank you. Let's do the next one here. So without COSO Cloud, our teachers like to use the personal meeting ID so students know which link to use to join for the class. Even if the LMS isn't working, is it possible to use the PMI? Not sure I know what that means, Joe. With
maybe the personal meeting invite.
Okay, yeah, okay. Sorry, the acronyms. Thank you for the translation there, AJ. With COSO Cloud for each of the teacher sections. Okay, that, Joe, I'm going to have to research. So I'm going to put in research here on that, and I can get back to you on that one. So great suggestion there. You mentioned Canvas. We're on Schoology. Would this cross-platform be a major focus? Is or Canvas then later pushed to another SIS? So vegan, let me make sure I understand that. So we heart Schoology. So the question, as much as Canvas, we just happen to be showing Canvas because that's what AJ is demoing in, but it should be the same in Canvas and in Schoology. There should be feature parity. Let me make sure I understand this. Would this be a cross-platform? Did it push to SIS? Can you expand on that, Vegan, as to exactly what you're asking there, please? I think I understand, but maybe a little bit more clarification would be helpful. This is a fantastic request, Joseph. Since parents are in Schoology Canvas, is there a way to use office hours to schedule parent meetings? Brilliant idea. I could not agree more that that would be a super cool feature. So, so basically parent-teacher meetings, is that what you're asking, Joseph? Yeah, I will get, I'm going to reach out to you directly so we can basically scope out that feature, but I think that's a brilliant idea. Thank you for that suggestion. Okay.
Mike, I think we might have briefly lost audio here. Are you still connected? Caitlin, do you still have audio? Just want to double check that it's on. We're still live.
Yeah, we're still
Okay.
live.
Sounds good. Apologies for that, for everybody. Mike might have had a brief audio issue. So I can at least do my best to jump in here. So does the Zoom LTI allow professors to create pre-assigned breakout rooms from Jonathan? So yeah, that would be that part of that study groups functionality. So where the professor can pre-assign study groups to individuals, so that kind of it really is closer to a breakout room functionality than anything. So yeah, absolutely, that's something that's doable and kind of already there with the study groups piece. And then moving on to Aaron had asked, what was the reasoning behind allowing students to have access to sign up for any available office hour slot, whether or not they were enrolled in the course? I apologize, Aaron. I probably should have been a little bit more specific about that in my demo, but you have to be enrolled in the course in order to get access to that office hours calendar. You can have a course that has several course meetings, and so I apologize if that was at all confusing. But yes, you can't, if you are in the math class, sign up for office hours for a social studies class or something along those lines. So no problem on that front, and apologies if I was not more clear. And then moving on, and please, folks, if I'm answering your question and not answering it fully, please feel free to post in chat or anywhere else. Certainly we have plenty of time here, and I want to make sure we answer everybody's questions. But moving on to Jeff had asked, not Canvas related, but what would the process look like for creating a meeting that also reflects a Google Calendar? Presently, they create a meeting in LTI and jump into Zoom to tell the meeting to end. Jump in LTI and jump to Zoom to tell the meeting to end up in the Google Calendar. If I don't jump to my Zoom page, nothing ends up in the calendar. So we definitely are exploring, and Mike was kind of going a little bit into that with his road mapping session, Jeff, doing a little bit more integration with specific calendars. We were looking at the Canvas calendar, but also Google calendars and Outlook calendars as well. So that is definitely part of our roadmap here, to be able to kind of have those meetings that you set up in the LTI reflect over to some of the more popular calendars. So I would say the Google Calendar will be very high on our list, as well as again for the individual LMSs like the Canvas calendar, and then potentially the Outlook calendar. So really excited about that feature hopefully coming soon, and we'd love to hear kind of any feedback from you on any specific pieces of functionality around that you'd like to see. And then, continuing down the list, Jonathan had asked, does the Zoom LTI allow for polls to be created or imported into the meeting? Not at present. That is also something that we've looked into doing with like the Canvas polls and things of that nature, being able to incorporate that. There are some challenges, because the LTI is really more of a mirror between Canvas and Zoom. So actually kind of pulling those polls into the Zoom meeting themselves. I think there might be some challenges around that, and I think maybe Mike could answer that with a little bit more detail than I can, and we can definitely follow up with you on it. But at this time, it does not, is not able to bring polls into the actual Zoom meeting itself. And then on to the next question. Does the Zoom LTI allow for the Zoom feature of authenticated users to be enforced and used? Also from Jonathan, thank you for that question. The authenticated users to be enforced and used. And then following the question about you, sorry, Jonathan, I think you answered, had a couple questions here, so I'm just trying to incorporate them together. So again, apologies, I'm doing this live here, but Jonathan asked if the Zoom LTI would allow for the Zoom feature of authenticated users to be used, and then also would it be possible to allow guests to enter as well? So so when you say the authenticated users, do you mean just folks that have already had like an authentic Zoom account, inside your Zoom instance? I'm kind of thinking that's what you're looking for there. We do have that class roster security piece. Sorry, I'm pulling up. Yep. Okay. Perfect. Just saw that clarification. Thank you for that. So correct. So with that, class roster security piece that we had mentioned, you are going to only have people that are registered for the course in Canvas that are able to get in. It is kind of a little bit of a pseudo SSO type mechanism when you're coming in through Canvas to make sure that only those that are registered and have their full credentials are getting in. What we want to avoid is anything about with people coming in, as guests generally. So the only way that people can get in as guests to the specific meeting is using that alternative host functionality, which you can do when you're setting up the meeting if you want to pass it along to a teacher. A parent or something along those lines. Let's see here. So Aaron, I got your note here that this is not the functionality you've been experiencing. So I'm wondering if maybe if you had a trial account or something along those lines, we'd be happy to take a look at that and see if maybe something was set up incorrectly or something along those lines. So we will, I think we should definitely communicate offline and figure out what may have happened, because this is hopefully the experience that all of our customers have had and what we anticipate there. So yeah, Aaron, we'll definitely connect with you online, and please, Kaylin, if you could put a note to connect there so that we can follow up. And then finally, Emily, thank you for your notes here. So I saw a note for Jonathan. You should be able to pre-assign breakout rooms for the zoom.us portal, and they do it by CSV files. So that's from Emily to Jonathan here. And then Emily asked, is there a way for teachers to sign students up for office hours rather than relying on students to sign themselves up? So Emily, that's a great question and a great point, and we really appreciate it. At this point, I think it's for students to sign up only. I don't know that there is a mechanism at this exact moment for teachers to be able to sign up students for those individual time slots. But I think that kind of goes along with a transformation of that office hours to add the functionality for the parent-teacher conferences, but also for the teachers to be able to sign up individual students. I could see those features kind of going hand in hand in an upcoming release. And so that's a great one, and one that we will definitely capture. As mentioned, not available at this exact moment, but absolutely something that I think we'd be very interested in incorporating. So thank you for that question and truthfully suggestion. That's a good one. And I think think I got
Thanks,
through.
AJ.
Yeah, I think I got through the list of questions.
You got through the list of questions. We've got a couple
That,
more in the chat though.
okay. Well, the guys, these are some wonderful questions, and you know, some definitely some great suggestions and things that we can add to our roadmap. Don't believe that question was answered.
So let's see, we have Jonathan asked, do the settings of cloud recordings from Zoom pass over to the Zoom LTI?
Yep, that's correct. So, you know, I mean, again, we're really just mirroring that data. So whatever, if you have like, you know, global settings in your Zoom account, they're going to pass over, you know, and apply here. We're just kind of mirroring that information and creating a user interface for people to be able to do it all. We're not going to be, you know, changing your Zoom, you know, global settings or licensing or anything along those lines. And then I saw your note, Heather. I think we'll follow up with you as well. I just saw your note come in about some lag times. Just wondering maybe if you know, if you were you know, again, set up maybe on a trial account or something along those lines that that maybe miss something, because we haven't seen any lag times significantly, certainly not 5 to 15 minutes. So we'll definitely reach out to you and take a look and figure out what's going on there. I think there might be you know, something potentially wrong in the configuration, because it's usually just, you know, 10 seconds, even when sharing a screen, which is already taking up a lot of bandwidth. All right. Any other questions for today? I know we have some follow up and some folks to reach out to, you know, after this call, and that'll be done by, you know, kind of a assortment of myself and Nancy Malad and from our team, as well as Mike Colleen, as mentioned. We really certainly appreciate all the, you know, suggestions and great questions. Hopefully today was helpful, but, you know, wanted to take a moment and see if there was any kind of final questions prior to the conclusion of our time here today. Perfect. Thanks, Jonathan. Really appreciate it. And, you know, again, thank you everybody for joining. We really appreciate you, and you have our contact information here. So if you have any, you know, any other questions that come up later, please feel free to reach out. I'm sure that Kaylin will be posting this demo and the recording, you know, so that if you want to review anything, you're certainly welcome to do so. And we look forward to working with each and every one of you.
Yes, AJ, thank you so much. That is correct. We will have this recording for you all no later than 2 weeks. We will send you all individual emails. And for those of you that had direct questions to follow up with, I'll be sure to put you in contact with Mike. Here's his email address in case you want to reach out personally, but I will be sure to follow up and make sure you all are connected and we get those questions answered for you. So thank you everyone for joining, and enjoy the rest of your day.